is unauthorized engagement to begin the next business day. So when we work with our clients, we always start the business day following the survey. Its continuity is essential to the success of the project. So we always start the next business day. So the a go-ahead always starts the business day following the analysis process. That constitutes a go-ahead. We don't accept future go-aheads or anything like that because they don't stick, they don't work anyway. So it's an authorized engagement to begin the next business day. And go-ahead means you close the client on consulting. It means you were successful. That's why analysts, that's our role in the company, is to get go-aheads. RTO is total return to owner, return to owner. As you'll see tomorrow when we do the financials, we look at total return to owner, which is officers' wages, their W-2 wages that they take, plus profit. It makes things relative. I'll explain it more tomorrow. Problem cost is money lost due to a lack of control, soft and hard. So problem costing is how we substantiate return on investment back to the client. One of the things I said this morning is that we always work on the basis of a minimum of a 2-to-1 return on investment. So problem costing is how we substantiate that. We do soft problem costing in the opening, and we do hard problem costing when we get the financials. You'll see both of those later. Findings is a complete review of the survey discoveries. So findings is kind of our fourth quadrant of the things that we do. If you divide the survey into like 4 parts, findings is our final piece. It's where we review our survey discoveries and where we get our go-aheads. Hedges are objections or excuses which could potentially prevent a go-ahead. So one of the things we look carefully for is what is going to get in the way of our go-ahead. And the reason for that is because there's no follow-up, there's no future goes, there's none of that. It's a one-call close, which again, makes total sense when we're working with the client, because if a client is committed to change, they'll want to change today. And that's what we look for, is a high level of commitment to change. So it's a one-call close. So because of that, we always look what hedges or excuses are going to come up that are going to prevent us from getting our go-ahead. We always look at that carefully. Commitment is being wholeheartedly dedicated to fixing the business. Okay, if a client's not committed to change, they're not going to be committed to their project to improve their business. So we do look for commitment to improve. Institutionalizing is the act of informing the client about what to expect from the survey, from the analyst, from GR, and what the client expects from, what the analyst expects from the client. So we tell the client how we work after we open our survey, okay? And we'll talk about that more this afternoon. It's very important to tell the client how we work so that there's no surprises at the end. So we're basically telling them, this is what the survey entails, this is what you can expect from me, and this is what I expect from you, and this is how our company works going forward. PN number is project number, job number. Every client has a unique number for them. So when you're assigned a client, there will be a job number or a project number. Conditioning is moving the client from A to B, point A to point B, teaching, getting the clients to face the fact, the realities, the truth. Okay, so conditioning is something that's very important that we do. We condition because we have to, the client has to, they have to, well, I'll explain conditioning from this standpoint. Okay. So my mother called me up one afternoon and she said, Sherry, bad news. I have lung cancer. I said, what? So she had to go to the lung doctor every, say, quarter, and in the process got an x-ray. And the reason she went to the lung doctor, she had COPD. She was a former smoker, She had COPD, and so part of what they did is they did that. So she calls me up and says, I have lung cancer. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, well, I went to the doctor and she said, you have lung cancer. And she said, she doesn't know what kind it is, but she knows you have it. And I said, well, wait, what about a biopsy? Well, I have a biopsy in a month. And I said, in a month? So is she God? How does she know you have lung cancer? And she said, because she could tell from the x-ray. So I was like absolutely floored, stunned, devastated, upset, the whole bit. Okay, so what happened there? I was not conditioned. So what didn't happen is when you go to the doctor, okay, let's say you walk in for a physical, and whether you feel good or not, it doesn't matter. You walk in for a physical, and the doctor starts going, and making kind of, and then making some notes. Then the doctor says, there's something here that's a little off. I think we need to do a couple tests. So I'm going to send you for a couple I'm going to order a couple tests for you. Okay, so the doctor orders a couple tests. And they say, something's not right about this or something's not right about that. And I want to check it out because there's a few different possibilities. It could be nothing at all, but I want to test to make sure. Okay, so now you're starting to be conditioned on the fact that there could be something wrong. Then you go and you take your test or your x-rays or whatever it is, and you look for signs from the technician, right? You look for signs like, what are they seeing? And they usually won't tell you, but what do they see? Okay, and so that's more, you're conditioning more. So by the time you go back for the results, you have, you've kind of gotten yourself to a point where you might have to accept some news or whatever, but you're at the point, right? Anyway, that's conditioning. Conditioning is, that process and getting you prepared for. Okay. So we do the same thing with our clients. When we walk into the clients aren't ready to say, sign me up for consulting. I know my business needs a lot of repairs. They're not ready for that. We have to substantiate why that should even happen. A business owner probably, their thought process is, well, I think they're going to tell me a couple little things that I need to change, and I'll just put the Band-Aids on and everything will be fine, and I'll just do my little survey and be done with it. Okay? And then we come in and we tear the business apart and we figure out everything that's wrong in 2 days, and we actually surprise the client. I've had clients just look at me and say, how did you figure all this out so quickly? You are absolutely right. You know more about my business than I know. How can that be after 2 days? But it's because we know what we do. We know we're good at what we do. But anyway, but the hope is that they won't have to spend any more money beyond the survey, and that it's just a little Band-Aid that they can slap on, right? That would be the hope. It wouldn't be, well, I hope they tell me I need a complete overhaul and have to make 1 million changes and it's going to cost me $50,000. I mean, who wants that? Nobody. Okay, but it is what it is. Sometimes people want to know things are wrong because they know things aren't well. And if we can identify problem areas and give them hope that there's hope that they can be fixed and life will be good, then that's a good thing. But generally speaking, people want to just, get away with just throw on a couple Band-Aids. All right. So we have to condition, especially if there's a lot of issues, because we have to condition on the fact that they need to make a lot of changes. We have to condition on the fact that they're missing a lot of potential. We have to condition on the fact that, your business didn't get broken to this extent in 25 years. It's not going to be fixed in one day. It took you 25 years to create these problems. It's not going to be fixed in one day. So anyway, or you have 25 years of problems or whatever. So that's what conditioning is. Conditioning is getting the client to face the facts, the realities, the truth. Many clients are in avoidance. They're in denial. They're in ignorance. In other words, they just don't even have a clue. Their head is in the sand. They don't want to know. So a lot of what clients do is they get busy at what they're good at, which is typically the technical aspects of the job of the business, like running the field, supervising the construction, doing the construction themselves, whatever. They're not so good at the business of the business, so they run away from that part. It's very common. So we have to condition. Part of the conditioning we do is teaching the client. So condition, 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 which leads to, if we go back to a bomb, unexpected information designed to condition the client. If the client is in such ignorance or avoidance, sometimes they have to kind of be woken up to face the facts, the realities of the business, because some of them just have their head buried so far in the sand, they don't see the picture at all. So job is open means the survey is open, it's progressing, you have the client's cooperation, there is a focus. So we go in to do our opening. We have our opening interview that lasts 2.5 hours type of thing, or 1 hour. Could be 1 hour, could be 3 hours. Anyway, once we're through that, our job should be open, which means our survey is progressing along. We do have cooperation from the client, and there is a focus. We don't have a lot of negativity. Takeaway is a technique that helps secure and ensure commitment. So a takeaway is, we use takeaways to, it's a sales technique, I suppose, but also when you tell a client that if you're accepted at the end of the survey for consulting, I have no idea at this point if that's going to make sense, if I can accept you as a client, okay? It's very good because if a client really wants help, it helps ensure commitment. Merchandising is a conditioning process done on research calls. So we literally make research calls, which are on-site calls in front of the client for the purposes of conditioning the client. Very, very effective. We'll talk about that more today. And then analogies is an effective way to teach the client a concept. We use a lot of analogies as a teaching tool so clients can relate to it, can understand. So we'll use sports analogies, we'll use whatever analogies there are, we use them frequently. Like I talked about, conditioning, getting ready to run a marathon. That was an analogy in that, I talked about you wouldn't normally just decide today I'm going to run a marathon and tomorrow go and run it. You would train for it. It's the same thing with our clients. We use analogies to give examples. Okay, so that's a rough explanation of survey terms. We have a lot of terms in our company, in our industry. You'll get familiar with them as you go, and we'll talk about them kind of through the week. Okay, I'm going to now put you on for lunch, and let me just move to the next slide so we're ready to go when we come back. Talk about those when we come back. So I sent out, just as an FYI, I sent out the contact information. So I sent it from my regular email, like I said. So you should have received the contact information and today's slides. So make sure you can access the portal, and I will see you. Good, you got it. And you know what? I tell you, like every day I send out homework. I will tell you when I email something, so you know. You don't necessarily have to acknowledge it with me, because just like I can't acknowledge every single email that you guys send to me. If for some reason I don't get your homework, though, I will let you know. But anyway, I will let you know that I did send it out. And then later on today, I'll be sending out some more slides, and I'll send out today's homework, etc. So you always want to be on the lookout for this. No, they aren't. They are not recorded. No. They're not recorded for future reference and studying. No. It's too hard to store them. So, okay. So let me put you on break, and I'll see you back here in an hour. This afternoon, we'll be going through more survey process, and we'll be going through, you'll hear from Tyler. Sherry.crimble@bizsolve.com is the email, where the email came from. Okay. All right, I'll see you in an hour.